Guys, you feel like humanity is headed in the right or wrong direction?
Wow, that is a first question and a half.
That's like walking into like a boxing ring and it's like, Tyson Fury and he just knocks you out in the first punch.
Do you give him a punch though? Do you get a swing?
I mean, you get probably like an attempt at a swing. Like I feel like my
swing
answer
and he
to
just goes
this
straight underneath.
my answer to this question is going to be like imagine Nathan going against like Mike Tyson.
Well, like a scrawny little.
Can I also just say, Jak, you said swing but go underneath. What are you going under?
You swing, he goes underneath. You know what I mean?
What?
And then he comes up with the picturesque sort of uppercut, and he's sort of looking off into the distance because pros don't look where they're firing. You know what I mean?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
He nearly said where they're shooting.
What boxing matches are you watching?
Definitely have to look where they're punching.
I thought you meant you were swinging at his ankles and he jumped you. Just the low blow to the extreme.
Has anyone ever tried that? Do you reckon going to the boxing ring and just like trying to go for the ankles?
Aim for the ankles.
Wait, is it a low blow if you hit them in the thigh?
Yeah, you can't hit them anywhere below the belt.
Oh.
Right? Is that the rules in boxing?
Yeah, you're right.
I'm right. I've never watched a boxing match, but I assume. Yeah, he's watched.
It'd be a bit cheating if you could just walk up and just fucking sock him in the nuts.
Obviously, I didn't mean the nuts.
A swift kick between the legs.
I mean, I feel like a thigh punch could be effective, like dead leg sort of thing. They probably get dead arms, right?
Oh, dude. Oh, I imagine it's like some of the worst like numbing pain afterwards. I don't even want to think about it. Like even like those like thicky boxing gloves, they like can do some like proper damage, right?
Oh, they must do.
And then
they must do.
Compare that to like MMA or like just even like bare knuckle boxing. I've watched a few of those. Like that's actually insane.
I'm thinking just if you numb your arms before the fight and just sort of swing them round, then they can't go dead halfway through.
Well, like Ace Ventura when he gets like numbed in the forest.
Yeah, just fucking swing that shit around.
What if you just numb your head then? Just put it in an ice bucket.
Just numb everything and lay on the mat. And he can knock you out.
Look, he hasn't knocked me down. I've chosen to be down here.
I feel like
he gets carried in on a stretcher.
It'll be the ultimate flex if, like, the bell rings, you go back to your corner, and then you just do a handstand and dip your head in some ice water. And all the blood goes back to your head, so you focus on it, right?
True. Why has anybody thought about this before?
I don't want to go even further down this rabbit hole, but the gloves are fucked up because because you don't bleed, you don't see the damage being done to the old skull.
Yeah.
Also,
but anyway, lads, do you reckon humanity's headed in the right or wrong direction?
Based on that conversation we had, probably the wrong direction, right?
What do you mean? I think these are imperative plans to change our future. I think this needs to be added straight away.
Well, I think the one thing I will say about this is our reaction to COVID-19 and how everyone's like most countries are handling it. I think is like
not very good.
Not very wrong direction. Yeah, like for example, in Ireland, Ireland was one of the first countries to go into shutdown before it was recommended. But the government is still allowing airports and flights for certain things, like businesses are. There is I think it's a jam business called Carrington or something in Ireland, and they flew over 100 workers to come and pick strawberries, from a foreign country into Ireland, and because they paid the government to let them. But you're not allowed to go to your loved ones' funerals or fly in from outside to come and pay respect or anything like that. So it's still very money focused, I think.
It's kind of crazy. Because things are super money focused, but even to the point where I still feel like people aren't really being put up front with the lockdown. It's still mainly about the economy. That's the full picture.
Dude, for the lockdown, I see more people out and about around my house now than before the lockdown. I go out to walk with my dog and I see kids playing around the place in the forest near my house, and you've got kids cycling past my house. You've got loads of cyclists, there's people in groups of 3 or 4 going for cycles. I feel it's I see way more people out and about. I mean, in the countryside, that is, though.
Yeah, but that's because they're not allowed to go out anywhere else. That's good that because you're allowed your one exercise a day, or whatever, and they're doing like obviously they're probably going stir crazy because they're probably the kind of people that will be like go out for social gatherings, go out for meals, go out for this or that. Maybe they've been not let off work, but maybe they're furloughed, so they can't even go to work.
I mean, they're mainly like younger children.
Yeah, but they're also not in school, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So
I mean,
they
like,
have to do something.
I mean, unless it's like a family of 4, these kids are like just, they're just gathering up, spreading that shit.
Kids, yeah, I mean, kids are the worst, especially teenagers, man. There's a bunch of teenagers around like a lot in Chelmsford area. There's like massive gatherings of kids, and it's just that's mainly probably the parents being like, just do what you like, do whatever, because they obviously don't want to get in trouble. But I think you can get fined in certain places, right? If your kid gets fined, yeah.
I could get a £60 fine if I'm like, messing around. The police are being nice about it. If you walk into the shops, they're obviously not going to question you.
Yeah.
But if you're just chilling in a park when you should be inside, they're going to have a problem. And it's even more stupid because I don't think people realize if they follow the rules, it's done with quicker. Like, the quicker we self-isolate, the quicker we don't have to deal with this shit anymore.
Yeah. And
with the...
Sorry, go on, Bobby.
Yeah. With the extension that they've just put in place, I've heard through a lot of people that some people are beginning to get very agitated and are beginning to say that they're just going to long it off, given it go on too long.
That's the risk, isn't it? Like, there's only so long you can keep people at hand, like, before it starts to just collapse, really. That's why they delayed so long, I feel like, with the isolation in the first place.
I feel like they were also trying to sort out ways in which they can still keep generating money within the country.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like,
but then
the one of the latest updates said that if people like break the quarantine and start like going out and about because they're getting like bored or they can't take it anymore, the guy said that it would actually harm not just like obviously like the health and safety, but actually harm the economy if we break quarantine too early. So it's in the long run, the longer we quarantine to like get rid of coronavirus, the better it will be for the economy. But in the short term, it's bad. But, we have to think of the long term.
Yeah,
and the fact that they extended it for another 3 weeks, but I'm pretty sure a few weeks ago there was one of the health secretaries said that the quarantine could last anywhere from 3 to 6 months. She's like the only person that said that, but my theory is
they're just going to keep extending
they're just going to do it in batches. They can't say we're in quarantine for 6 months, because then everyone will freak out. So if they say that, they first said okay, quarantine for 3 weeks, and now those 3 weeks have just been up like a few days ago, and their update was quarantine for another 3 weeks minimum. That was their update. So I think they're just going to keep doing that.
What I'm imagining right now is, in Harry Potter where him and Dumbledore are like scooping out the liquid when they're getting one of the Horcruxes, and he's like, no more. And Harry's just like, just one more. Then he'll go get another one. Just one more sip. That's what I'm imagining. They're just gonna spoon feed us 3 more weeks.
Honestly, what I'm like from this in general, in my head, I feel like humanity itself, I think it's showing that people can be good. I think it's showing that there's a genuine care going on in communities.
Yeah.
And that people do actually care for each other.
Like Captain Tom.
But I do think if you look at what's going on around the world in sort of government legislation, I don't think things are going a great direction.
Like, isn't China on the verge of becoming like what's something state?
Totalitarian state?
I don't know. But like, sort of like the same status like North Korea's in.
Yeah, totalitarian state. It's like, yeah, I think that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But like
that's not good progress right there.
Exactly, and a lot of these good things can take a bad turn. Especially, I always think of it like Black Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of those episodes are essentially here's a good thing and we've made it bad in my eyes. Like they had those artificial bees to continue pollination, but then they were used to attack people.
Yeah.
Based off people's votes on social media. And I feel like a lot of the time we have these good innovations and they're twisted into an economic way or something along those lines, which I don't think is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. But also going on back onto like the the attitude. I think like humanity in itself is going a good direction, like society wise, but like governmentally, like the government is just. It seems like there's not really any good government at the moment, like dealing positively with this. Maybe like Iceland, Greenland, like all those like small, more isolated countries.
Yeah, like all the ones no one cares about.
Dude, I wish I was in Iceland, like 100%. But it just seems like every other government is just being greedy at the moment. And I did see that I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen it if you like use any form of social media, but it's like the fact that like a lot of the billionaires are pushing for the isolation to end and the lockdown to end because they're not making money. You make their money. The workers like for Amazon and the guy who owns Weatherspoons. Is it Wither or Weather? Weatherspoons, right?
Weather.
Yeah.
But the guy who own Weatherspoons, basically when all of his pubs shut, he didn't furlough anybody. He didn't want to help pay them or that. He was just like, yeah, go. He was like, just go join Tesco. They want 200,000 employees. That's half of the employees in all of our pubs. Just go there. And he just like lined them off. Yeah. And the guy who like owns Sports Direct wouldn't close his stores down. He ruled them as what you call it? What's the word? Essential business. Yeah.
I guess it's the
Like-
difference between like the mega rich and the rest
Oh yeah,
of
like
us.
same.
Like I've got
like-
a close family friend. They're a couple in their 40s, 50s, and they own a business where they sell coffee, and all their employees are getting the 8% furlough. They're like putting the 20% on top from their like
Mhm.
from
Personal
their,
funds.
yeah, just because I don't know. Obviously, if you do it on a large scale, you've got 100,000 employees. It's an insane amount, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
suppose right now is the time for charity and kindness.
Yeah, and also like the fact that some other businesses are actually rewarding their employees for like the essential workers, like for example, who I work for, Aldi, give 10% bonus to our pay. Obviously, that's in the grand scheme of things, like 10% is not going to change the world, but it does make a difference, especially because we have to go in and work.
What do you feel about these apps that the people are being asked to download, so that basically the way it works is if everyone owns the app and it uses Bluetooth to interact with other people who own the app. So if someone then gets diagnosed with coronavirus, then that signals on their app that they have it, and then it goes through all the history of phones they've interacted with in a certain distance to them, and then gives you a warning that you have been in contact
Really?
with someone.
I haven't heard about this tool, but that sounds
Didn't know that was a thing.
yeah, that sounds insane. I
So
don't.
they're thinking about implementing it under the NHS sort of brand.
I don't know if I would ever get it though. Like,
See, sorry, I think I had someone talking to me. Did you say it was like basically like to identify if you had coronavirus, or what was it?
So essentially, the way it works is if you have the app and you've interacted with someone who eventually gets diagnosed with it, it will inform you because it uses Bluetooth to sort of interact with phones that also have the app within a certain distance of each other.
Oh, if you get it, you basically put on the app. Oh, I've
Yeah.
got it. Ah, okay, that's
you
And
see,
then it cycles through.
I'm
See-
thinking it could turn into like a fun self-isolating mini game where you can see a little red bleep where the corona infected person is, and you're just trying to avoid them all day. And they're closed in, and you're just
That's
like you're trying to shuffle through alleyways, get around for the red beeps. I would get it if that was the case.
I mean,
I just probably wouldn't go outside. I mean, you're probably avoiding them quite well in your own house, unless it's like your mum trying to chase you around,
But I feel like that could turn into like, what country is it where they're like killing people who get infected with
Korea.
corona? North Korea.
No,
Well, I mean,
was it not like it was? I thought it was like an African country.
well, either
I
way,
think it's happening in quite a few where there are a lot less regulations and
Yeah.
where
something that needs to
things
be
aren't quite as friendly to
Developed.
But I mean,
Friendly, quite friendly to the ongoing public in their areas.
well, I mean,
Right.
it shows that people can be quite aggressive to people who have it. So I feel like if you see like a household that might have it, people can take some sort of negative steps to that instead of avoiding them.
Yeah. I also think a lot of people would get like cuckoo crazy like, conspiracy theory over being like, no, the government is using this to track me, and I hate those people.
And if you zoom out, all the red dots write NHS across England.
I mean, it's like the bloody rumors about 5G causing issues.
Oh,
It's just...
don't even get me started.
It's just all so silly. But
what's this about 5G causing it?
So
don't bother. Don't bother. Don't bother. It's just people think the new, the 5G antennas and its introduction is playing an influence on people getting coronavirus.
That sounds absolutely mental.
I want to ask someone
who believes in it.
I want to sit down with them and just say, how does that work? Like,
don't. I've done that. I've done that with a close relative.
Next week on episode 4, we have flat earthers and 5Gers just like in here explaining why, so we can roast them.
It's interesting that you mentioned the government using it to track you. Do you think that happen? Do you think that happens at all? Do you think?
So I reckon it probably happens, but not to the capacity of they want to know your every movement so that they can try to influence that in some way. I just think it has good intentions behind it, if that is the case, if they do track you. But obviously there could be somebody being like, oh, if you get coronavirus and you put it in there, they're going to try to cover it up. I mean, if you're in like a country that does cover up, like, I don't know, China or something like that, But
yeah,
I think it only has positive, like something like that would only work positively, but it would take like a certain sect of the society to be like, make it negative, like Jack said, like if they went to their house and, I don't know, threatened them, or I don't know, if people thought that it was caused by 5G, burning down the nearest antennas or whatever like that, which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah, because
Second.
a question I was going to ask, sort of following on, I feel like overall we're all pretty happy with humanity. I think we're doing decent. No one flipped the fuck out. I expected someone to be like, no, humanity's going to shit, like we're all assholes. But
I mean, they might not be wrong about the all assholes part, but
that's true. But I feel like that unites people. All assholes. But in this digital age, I spoke about Black Mirror a bit, and we talk about privacy. Do you think privacy even is a right? Like, do you think I can justifiably say, no, I can't, I don't want anyone like following my analytics, my data as a person? Or do you think, I don't know, that's just fair, it's free real estate?
I think you have every right to say I don't want it, but to be fair, I don't think I've ever I've never been in a place in my life where I've been like, I don't want anybody looking at this data. I don't want anybody knowing. I don't want people knowing my personal information, like my address, my bank details, anything like that. That's very serious. Your social security number or whatever. But I think the people who are like, I don't want you to know, no cookies enabled, like people like that, that don't want any tracking or at all. I think they either have something to hide, or they're just like pompously doing it just to prove a point. You know what I mean? Just be like, and they're the kind of people that are like anti-government, anti-everything, anti-establishment.
See, the only part that I don't like is the idea of that if someone does that, they have something to hide. Just because I think like that's a unfair way of looking at it. Because to me, I think privacy should be a right.
Yeah, I'm not saying it shouldn't be a right, but yeah, I just think like the people who are very, very like up in arms with it, not the people that are like humanitarians being like, you're not allowed to take this person's information for X reason. But I just feel like the chads on Reddit that I've seen up in arms against it. I feel like they would have something hard to get. But you're right, not it's not a thing that everyone should be like. If you have something to hide, if you're against it, because like you said, it is a right, and there's a lot of other reasons to it.
Yeah, and I suppose like I always think of it in the sense that if I was asked, can we view this information, well, then sure. It's the same as why you have, I don't know, locks on your house sort of thing. Like, it's to keep you safe, but then if someone came asking, for information. Most of the time you'll be like, yeah, sure, like come on in, let's
I feel like
talk.
if someone came and asked me for information, I'd be more likely to say no because the
Well, what
fact
if it
that
was-
they're asking for it. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
like,
what if it
well,
was the
because you
police?
want it, I don't want to give it to you. Oh, at that point, you kind of have to. You know what I
But
mean?
I mean, you don't have to let the police in your house without a warrant.
I suppose what you mean, like if they came and offered, like, hey, there's been some crime or that someone's, I don't know, said that you've done something. Can we have a look at your phone to, I don't know, see if there's any merit to it? If you say no, you look suspicious. But if you say yes, then you're offering up freely,
I-
like
I
private
don't-
information.
I don't think you look suspicious. I feel like if you say no, then like no is the common answer, right?
Yeah, I
If
suppose.
police come up to you and say, "Let me look through your stuff because this has happened,"
Yeah.
I feel like 90% of people will say no.
Yeah.
Like, I feel every time the police stop people or like interact with people, it's always the police are always seen as like the bad guys, you know?
Mhm.
So like they'll come up to people, like stop people in cars, and then it'll be like they'll ask them to do something, and then people will be like, "I know my rights. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. I think privacy is definitely a right, and like to take away your privacy is to like I don't know. It's like how do you word it? It's like an invasion of
Privacy.
like sort of. I mean, I was gonna say that in a different word, so it didn't sound so stupid. But
Yeah. I do know what you mean. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go with like a very like sort of like teenage version of like it's like your mum going in your room without asking.
Joe, back onto that other thing of you saying, no, Nathan, that like, you know, the police officer coming up to the people in cars,
yeah,
the whole sovereign citizen spiel. I think I can't remember if it was you or somebody else in this group that there's some like donut YouTuber or something, donut.
Bagel guy.
And is that the guy? Something like that. Like, and he would look at these videos of like these quote unquote sovereign citizens trying to get away with as much as they could, until eventually, obviously, like the police do have rights to like, you know, get you out of your car and like such like that, and then they'll like leave their windows locked and they'll just they'll like there was a video of the guy like he had a one phone recording the police officer and he was like googling on the other phone like his quote unquote sovereign citizen rights until eventually like the cop just like smashed his window and like had to get him out because he was
I've seen stuff like that. I don't really
yeah
know
I
exactly.
thought it was you.
I don't know, but I saw something like where there was these people trying to like live on their land without paying taxes, and they're like, "Oh, we're a sovereign citizen," and they're like the police were like just walking up to the house and like I guess more like there's quite a lot of them, like a group of 8 or 10. I guess they were trying to get them off because you know they're not paying taxes, they're breaking the law.
Yeah.
And they were just like, "You can't step onto our land," and they just walk casually up because
Yeah.
you know that's not how this works. I'm afraid you can't just declare yourself an independent state of like 4 people in your back garden.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about people declaring their rights. What do you think of these people in, I think it's Michigan, who've gone on protest because they're basically protesting that they should have the right to decide whether or not they isolate. So what they did is they flooded the streets full of cars. Everyone, like all the people were out on the streets all together, a mass gathering.
They blocked the
blocking
hospital.
ambulances.
Yeah.
At what point
Understood.
did all the idiots go to Michigan and be like, "This is where we're gonna live now"?
Probably like 120 years ago, something like that. I don't know, whenever they settled it. Like that is without doubt probably the stupidest protest I've seen, because not only are you obviously do they look like idiots, they're obviously endangering lives and endangering each other.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is like most of them are wearing masks. You know what I mean? Like
Because they know
you're-
they don't want people to know, "Hey, I'm someone who's partaking in this."
no, masks as in like the medical masks, like to not
okay.
catch the coronavirus. Even though the thing they're doing is going to probably
Spread.
help all of them. Yeah.
Like everyone, I don't understand. Like, obviously, I can understand it. You know, like some of us have long distance relationships where when it's over, when the lockdown's over, we can go see our loved ones, so we're apart from them. But you know, everyone with a common or like not a common mind, everyone who's not an absolute idiot is realizing, hey, the government is saying this for a reason. And if you're breaking it, then you're hindering, you know, society as a whole. You're hindering, like, what if you go out to the shops and just like casually walk around, you bump into an old lady because you're not minding like you're 2 meters like apart. You know what I mean? Like you're hindering, like, you know, you could really hurt someone. Like if like someone did that to my nan, you know, you're gonna be upset.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So like, you know, there's a reason it's in place. And, like all these people just gathering up, just saying no, fuck you, we don't want to do this because you've told us to, like a child.
yeah. I feel like it's a lot easier though for people like us to just sit indoors patiently,
Yeah, I mean,
because we're
it's
like
what we'd do anyway.
computer gamers. Yeah, like we enjoy it. That's what we'd be doing either way, like most of us. But like the way I think I said this to Joey, but the way I viewed it for the people that aren't like, stay-at-home gamers, the people that are usually very social, outgoing, like always outside people. Like,
Extroverts. Yeah.
imagine for us if the government said you can't turn on your PC for 3
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
Like we'd be like so bored after a week. We'd be like desperate to turn our PC back on. Like, we'd be like I can't imagine not being on my PC for a week. Like I'm pretty dependent on it.
Yeah, but
And,
then
like,
you wouldn't go out and drag your PC into the middle of a high street and just set up
No,
like a PC barricade
saying,
about it,
But like the people that are usually out about and about all the time, like them staying in is like probably a lot harder than like we're not being very empathetic,
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but there's
Well,
one thing
yeah.
about staying in and or like another thing like going out and like you're allowed some time outside. I mean, it's one thing like say, oh fuck it, I'm not gonna have half an hour. I want to go out for 2 hours and just walk around. And it's another thing organizing like a big parole parade, not parade, riot maybe like right on our
Protest.
lowest protest. Sorry, yeah, there you go. It's like it's a whole another step. I mean, if they said, hey, you're not allowed on your PC, we'd be like, hey, fuck you, I'm gonna sneakily use my iPad in the corner instead of just like organizing a protest. It's like a whole nother thing. Like one endangers someone, and the other's just like, oh, I want to be a bit cheeky here.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
Like it's just a terrible situation all over, but they're just making it worse. And they just look like the people. You know what I mean? When you can see a person and you just realize, oh, they're an idiot. You know what I mean? Like those people, like on spring break that were like, if I get corona, I get corona. You just see that guy's face.
Yeah,
you just look like an idiot. You know what I mean? And you can just tell like all these people, they just have no empathy. They don't care. They like almost like sociopathic. Like they just like can only think about
Probably thought they were
themselves.
talking about the beer.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. They're like, are you aware there's some corona going around? They're like, whoa, corona.
We're about.
Well, get a corona, bro. Like, they just can't. I just don't think they can put themselves in other people's shoes. Like to think about, like, because then what you're doing, you're kind of putting yourself in someone else's shoes, being like, that would be a hard situation if you weren't an introvert, and and it is hard. But like, I've got a guy in work who loves going to the gym. He's a big fit head, and he went on like a 2-hour bike ride. He cycled like 40 miles, and I was like, and it was just like in a back end of nowhere, where he lives. And I was like, well, that's probably like a good idea. Like instead of him, going out and endangering the people, he was just went out by himself and did it. Did something.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think there's a lot of speculation, a lot of like, again, more conspiracy theories being like the police, are going out to these people kayaking and arresting them, which is, and they're like, oh, you can't, like, what, this is like government control. They're trying to control this. It's like, no, he probably traveled along a known road, or if there's say for example, if there's like 2 of those people doing that, then that's still a danger. Yeah, that's still a danger. If it's just one person going up, like, cycling a back road or a mountain trail or whatever, they're not going to arrest you. But if you're traveling like in a car or like walking a main road somewhere, that is a danger because you could cross somebody else doing it, and both those people are idiots.
Plus, I mean, if it's kayaking, I don't know exactly the ins and outs, but like it's very, isn't it like liquid based? Like if you spit on the floor, if you cough, it's the moisture that is the most infectious part for the corona.
Kayaking or coronavirus?
For corona. So I mean, like if you've got a bunch of people in a stream, you know what I mean? Like going down to like animals trying to drink from. I don't really know what I'm saying.
I don't know much about kayaking, but isn't it like liquid based?
I swear they don't just put it on the grass and just paddle around.
Yeah. I think it's like it can travel like 20 feet or something, right? With a cough, or it can live in liquids a little bit longer or on surfaces, but I'm not sure. But like, again, just back point, like at least, I mean, the 2 questions you've asked kind of link in with each other, obviously. And I think like the lowest form of society at the moment being those idiots who are just, wittingly, like almost spreading this coronavirus almost to make a point. Like they don't know they have it, and obviously they're not like doing it on purpose, but like doing these protests just to go out and earn, help their bosses or their companies earn more money is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Doing very well.
The police will never win in that matter. Like, if you try separate it, then everyone goes, police brutality, look at them trying to control us. And if they don't, then everyone goes, what are you doing? You're meant to step in and help. Like,
Hmm.
I
Yeah, there's
feel
no
for
winning.
people. I really feel for, people in the NHS, police, everyone. Like, I feel for them. Because in a way, it's almost been assumed that they have to step in. Like, imagine waking up one morning and finding out that there's a deadly pandemic. Most people are going to stay at home, but you've got to go to work, and not only that, but you've got to interact with the people that have
Yeah.
the highly
Or a high chance of
contain-
getting it just because they're all interacting.
Yeah, I think it's such a difficult position. I'd like to think all of us would step up, but I have a feeling most of us would be like, "Sorry, I'm busy. I'm
mean,
gonna stay home."
At one point, I wanted to be a part of the police a few years ago, or like maybe like
What
4 years ago. Well, I mean, I was just like, I don't think I could do that because it is. I don't know. It seems like an extremely hard job, and
I
I mean,
had-
especially now.
Yeah. Do you remember my friend Alan? He's at my birthday in Colchester, the big tall one.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm asking you, Jack, but Bobby, you remember, right? The
I
tall one.
remember him. Yes.
He became a police officer, and I think he was a police officer for like a year, and he left working at the warehouse, obviously, and he rang me one day, and he's like, "Oh, hey man, I'm just like doing a bit of a trip from an area nearby. I just thought I'd stop in and say hello." I was like, "Oh, cool." So I popped out, and we just talked for a bit, and like the stuff he told me from like the first 6 months of him being a police officer is scary, let alone in the time of a pandemic. Like, I feel for police officers in general. Like, he told me like he had to respond to this is going to be probably a bit hard to hear for some people, so if you're squeamish, whatever. But you had to respond to someone hanging themselves. And he went to their apartment, and he told me like he had to be the one to take him down.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I suppose
and
everyone thinks someone's gonna do it, but it doesn't have to be me. I mean, someone does have to do it.
yeah. I can't. Sorry, I'm not sure if it was him or the paramedic, but he was in the room and had to take him down. And people who I don't know if you know this, guys, but like when someone hangs himself, like obviously there's air caught in the throat, so when you let them down, they make like a noise.
Oh man.
And he just said that freaked him out. Like that stuck with him for a long time. I can't remember. There's a phrase for it. It's like the last breath or the dying breath or something like that. Because it's obviously all cotton there.
I mean, either way, it sounds kind of poetic.
Yeah. I mean, like it was like I said, that really got on him, and like stuff like he had to respond to a drunken like fight, and both of them like turned on him, even though they're fighting each other, just because he's a police. And like it was like two girls, and they started biting him, and they started like scratching him, and it's just like, oh man, I really feel for police. And then add in this whole pandemic and idiots like just trying to protect people from, trying to keep people safe. Being like, listen, don't go out, don't, form a group, and then like, no, fuck you, you're a police, you're an idiot, blah blah blah. Like, I just, it's just a different level, man. I have to go and pick up some boxes for work, even though I'm still working. It's not that bad.
So my dad's he's a nurse at a hospital sort of near here, and I can't remember what ward he usually worked on, but it wasn't one that would be directly sort of in the line of fire of the corona. I'm not sure when, but he has moved to the intensive care unit to sort of help with the people affected by coronavirus. And I saw a picture of him in the sort of outfit that he's now currently wearing. It's a full like white Socko suit. He's got full proper respirator on. He's got a hat. He's got all the gloves on and everything, and full sort of suited up to try and stop it. And he's doing that for 12 hours a day and having like maybe a 30-minute break in that.
Yeah.
And just, I'm not sure if a lot of people realize just sort of how much the NHS is doing. Obviously, they know that the staff and the nurses and the doctors are doing a lot, but I'm not sure if they realize just how much they're working and how much they're pushing to help.
That's the thing. They're doing so much, and a 12-hour shift in itself is ridiculous. To do it day in, day out is another thing.
Yeah.
Plus,
in such conditions as well.
Plus, you have to. My dad's girlfriend works at the NHS, or her hospital is like a part of it right now, and every day she has to come home to her kids when she's been in a place like that. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah,
outside of things, like as a mother or a parent, that would be something that's horrifying as well. Be like, well, I've got to work and try and help everyone, and then I've got to go home and worry that I'm bringing it to my children.
yeah. I saw that video of I think it was a Indian doctor or something like that, and his wife recorded like him coming home, and his kid was obviously like, "Oh, hey, dad," like little toddler running at him, and he had to like, no, like you had to like firstly being like, "Stay over there." He just like broke down in tears as he came in the door. Doing a 12-hour shift and coming home not even able to hug your kid. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah, I couldn't imagine that. But also because it means you're putting your family at risk. Like not only are you working your ass off, but then you go home and put your kid, your wife at risk. Like
Yeah.
yeah. Brave
It's
people.
it's a shitty situation to say the least at current, and all we can hope is that people try and follow the measures that the government are putting in place and not be idiots like we've discussed already, going out, meeting up, and protesting in large groups, but stay at home, go out, do some social isolation exercise, go for a walk, and all that, and just this will all pass quickly.
Can
Yeah, exactly.
I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Go for it.
What's your opinion of the NHS clap?
Clap.
Mhm.
I don't really,
Clap.
I don't really have an opinion on it. Like, I mean, I'm sure some NHS workers are seeing it and being like, "Wow, that really inspires me." But I mean, isn't it just a clap? I thought.
I
I'm
think
all for it.
I'm for it, as in like showing appreciation, the aspect of that. But I think you should show your appreciation by just doing what they ask and isolating.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, sorry, go on.
I agree. But I think as an independent thing, I love it.
Yeah, I think people are being like not skeptical, it's not the word, but like they're being negative about it. Like I personally am on the opinion like I don't do it, and I think like the people who are working 12-hour shifts are probably more appreciative of the people that are they're probably appreciative of it, but they're also just being like, just stay in. That's personally what I think.
I mean, none of us live in like, I mean, you do, Joey, but none of us really live in a big city. Like, I don't really hear people just like outside clapping because I live like, 50 meters from the next house and a forest between us. But I feel like if I was like living in the heart of London and I hear everyone outside my window just having a clap, I would probably go outside the window and give it a clap as well, just so you sort of feel like a part of the community effort because no one can really do anything other than the key workers right now. So you kind of feel like you're pulling your part a bit.
Yeah, I live in like a little suburb area. I don't know if that's the correct word, but like there's quite a few houses around me, and I heard them all clapping. And it's not like I'm like, "Oh, you idiots! Stop clapping. They don't appreciate it." But it's just like inside, personally, it just doesn't resonate with me. Like that's what I mean. Like it's not like it's pointless. I just can't really describe it. Like again, I'm not saying people shouldn't do it, because again, you will have those people that do appreciate those NHS workers, but you're also going to have. I think the majority of them are just like they probably just don't care. They're probably knackered coming home, not being able to hug their kids, not being able to do this, not being able to do that. When they first started, they couldn't even get toilet roll or food because all of the people that aren't key workers bought it all, and like by the time they finished their 12-hour shift, they couldn't buy anything.
They're just thinking, when your hand sweat falls off your hand and lands on the guy below your window, I'm gonna have to take care of it because you clapped.
You're so like zoned in on this like sweat and like spit, like
well, I mean that's
the
what
kayaking, the standing on your balcony, like what?
I mean,
seemed...
it's very liquid based, isn't it? This is the very limited knowledge I know.
Oh, you're not going for a bath, are you? Yeah, it's liquid based, love. Don't bother. Comes up the drains.
I mean, if you go for a bath, then someone comes in and starts snorkeling in your bath water, then you might have an issue.
I think about an issue first before coronavirus that someone is coming.
Do you guys not do that?
Also, how much are you sweating while you're clapping? Oh my god! Oh, I haven't been out of the so
God, this has been a workout. Jesus. Since we're gonna have a half an hour clap session.
Person Andrew's got a bloody umbrella. Oh word! Oh my gosh! I mean, I just can't quite get into your mind there, Jack.
Joey, look, it's water based. This is all I know, and I will repeat this point again.
I don't think it needs repeating again. I think you've stated it enough at this point.
Well, if this is wrong, if I just keep saying it, then maybe you guys will start to be like, wait, I heard that somewhere.
You're not as
And that way-
confident as me, Jack. You can't say it that way.
In my meetings at work, I'll start going like, "Yeah, guys, it's water based. Did you hear?
I swear I heard somewhere that it was water based. Maybe it was the news.
Sold your kayaks. Kayak
Yeah.
market dropping massively. It's all water based."
Nathan, what do you think of the NHS clap?
I was gonna say like, when they first did it, I didn't know anything about it because like,
You're just like, what the hell?
but my mum knocked on my door like 2 minutes to 8, and she was like, "Are you gonna do the clap?" I was like, "What?
You just looked
What?
at her.
What are you talking about?" She's like, "The clap. Everyone's gonna clap at 8 p.m. for like NHS workers." I was like, it's kind of weird. And then it got to 8 p.m. and like, I didn't want to do it because I felt awkward. I felt like
Felt awkward sat in your own room.
just sat in my room. I didn't want to like go to the window and do it. I just it felt cringy and awkward to me. And
Yeah, obviously you're not meant to do it in your room.
But,
I'm not going into my bathroom and clapping where no one can hear me.
yeah, but no, all I heard when it hit 8 p.m. was just my mum clapping in like downstairs, and it's just like she's proper going for it, like boom, 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 loud claps. And then after that, like first time, I felt kind of bad that I didn't do it because I was like, oh damn, I'm not like putting my appreciation out into the universe, you know. So the next time, like I think it was like the next week when everyone was doing the clap, I was just on my chair and I was just like going like, little,
So you're embarrassed to show your appreciation.
I was too scared to do loud claps, so I was doing it, but very quietly, just so I could hear it. But like I only did it just so it was out there in the world, you know, in the universe. Like my appreciation is boom, it's there. It's you know, it's not gonna change anything, but it's just so I feel better about myself, you know. I feel like I am showing appreciation, so I feel better.
And that's what I think. Like most people are like not again. That's not that it's you're misconstruing it, but like a lot of people are doing it for that reason. And again, that's not bad. It's just I don't want to do it because I don't personally feel like it will help that much. And again, I'm not like no one else should do it or you shouldn't do it or whatever. It's just my personal thing, like my personal like outlook on that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I feel
So-
this is all. Sorry, go on, Bobby.
I thought I'd just do a quick Google so we can clarify
Is it
if
water
what
based?
Jack is saying is correct. Sort of.
Oh yes, half right.
Guys, it's. I mean, of course.
It's transmitted basically through bodily fluids, not including sweat.
Not
It's through
including.
coughs, sneezes, and saliva.
So if you
So
sneezed in your hand,
if
and you
you
started clapping.
You're-
Well, how- sweat drips off everyone,
how
that's fine.
Watery is your sweat? Is your sneezes?
Well, I mean, it depends
Are
how
you
much
just
I catch.
like
If sneezing is still called air-based, it's air-based spreading. For it to be water-based, you've got to be full-on, just like downing a bottle of water, then throwing it up at someone for it to even remotely count as water-based.
No, I don't think that would go down too well.
No,
That'd
I
be
don't
quite
think it
the
would either.
aggressive thing to
I
do to
think
a
you're
man.
correct there, Jack. I think you're correct. Oh. So is humanity going the wrong direction? In Jack,
Yes.
Looking at Jack, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Should he get privacy? No, we need full access to his life.
Guys, the youth
What's
is
going
the
on?
future. Just look at me.
Oh God,
You just sweat.
this
you
is a
just
man
sweat
that was
profusely.
nearly. This is. May I remind you, this is a man that wanted to apply to be a policeman.
Could be on the streets, enforcing
It could
my way
be-
of living.
Oh, wow, that's very.
You outside? Get back inside and play on your fucking computer right now.
Oh, that's you're quite an aggressive guy.
Yeah,
So I
isn't that
think
what they
that-
teach you? The more aggressive you are, the more someone responds to it.
I think to bring it back to the question posed of is humanity going in the right direction? Just as a final point from me, I think for the most part, yes, we are. I guess no, I don't want to say the lower tiers of society, but the people who aren't the 1%. I think the working class people, the people who essentially are making the country run, following the 1%ers, quote unquote, lead, are generally trying to strive and go in the right direction. But there are the corrupt people at the top who are definitely sort of trying to push it in a more personal, greedish way,
Hmm.
even during this current time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that's always going to be the case, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Seems that way.
The pandemic is such a. It's weird that I can say the pandemic.
Yeah, it's
Just
not really
as
a
a
word
whole,
you
like-
would really have to. If I say pandemic before, a few like a month ago, I'd instantly be like, what game are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Oh, the sales of any pandemic game must be booming.
I saw on Steam that the Plague Inc. and the other game that they made is on sale now.
Of course it is. Cashing in.
Real
I
life
mean-
simulator right here.
Yeah, I mean, they also. I feel like when this first happened, I can't remember who I saw on Twitter, but they're like, guaranteed that like that game is gonna make a DLC, or they're gonna just like their stocks are gonna go up because of the situation.
I think they already are making a DLC, you know?
I think that I think they said they weren't gonna make it like actually called like coronavirus though, because it's obviously a bit on the tongue in cheek.
Yeah, exactly. Which I get, and I respect. I feel when you've got an event where people are dying every day, you can't exactly turn around and be like, hey, check out this DLC.
Yeah,
This is going to blow your mind.
Corona.
Customizable names so you can lose your
Loved
ones.
ones, yeah, exactly. That's why I mean, there's making light of a bad situation, and then taking advantage of a bad situation. And I think maybe making the game a bit cheaper is probably the right play. It's not like they're making that much more money off of it. I imagine it's more just being like, hey, this is kind of in the vein of what's happening.
It's interesting though that we sort of earlier. I know these are two completely different scales, but earlier we sort of condemned like economic sort of what's the word? Not manipulation, but almost economic mindsets. But then when we face a sort of a game choosing an economic mindset and coming out on top, we find it cool.
Yeah. I mean, okay, that's more so just like our personal interests coming in. You know what I mean? And
But I guess that's kind of what video games are for. You do in a video game what you wouldn't do in real life.
Yeah, it's a distraction. As what most games are really. Distraction from real life, or unwinding, or whatever it is. And I think that is positive. But again, if they were like new coronavirus DLC, only £5, that's not a distraction. That's like taking advantage.
Yeah, and it's such a big event that I think things are going to be pretty different after. But it's going to be interesting to watch. Have you ever had like an event sort of in the past that has had such a big influence?
Not for me personally.
No, like globally, I don't think I've ever seen anything. But maybe like personally, there must be things that have sort of shifted the way your life functions, like this will.
Well, again, not from a personal standpoint, but from other people's personal standpoints. I was actually listening to a podcast recently called "All Work No Play," and
good podcast.
Fantastic podcast, and they were talking about this exact question, and they brought up 9/11 for the Americans was probably the most recent thing that really grasped like a nation, a people, and the thing was that they were going through these two things together. So coronavirus, people are going through it together. 9/11, people are going through it together. They could, at the end of the day of 9/11, they could come together and have a drink together and hug and console each other. But what's ironic about this situation is we're all going through it together, but we're not going through it together. You can't hug anybody, you can't console them, you can't be there for them, and that's obviously making it especially hard because in the irony, you can't be there for each other, but you have to be there for each other. Mentally, you can't be there physically, but you need to check in on your friends, your family. You need to make sure everyone's okay. You need to, you never. Sorry, go on.
No, keep going. I interrupted you.
I was gonna say, like, you just don't know who's gonna get it or who's gonna be affected the most. You could have a friend who's taking it especially bad, who mentally was already going through a tough time, and now the fact that they're isolated, even if they're with their family or significant other, they can still feel lonely because they can. Yeah.
I was gonna go see my nan in like a week's time because my dad went to see her because she's all by herself, and just like just sit on the other side of the window and just sort of have a chat. Just through the window, just make sure she's okay. Just be there as much as you can, even if it's just having a conversation through the glass. Because she's like 80, just sat by herself.
Yeah, my nan lives relatively close to me, sort of just a sort of a mile away or something, if that. And she's sort of every few days, she'll walk past the house. My mum will open the door, sort of have a chat with her for sort of 20 minutes or so when my nan's just out on a walk. And it's just nice. I think the older generation do struggle a lot with trying to communicate with people, especially because they can't go out since they're not used to the internet and haven't been raised on it.
Exactly. And did you see that there was an NHS app where one of the options was you could talk and communicate with sort of elderly people, and sort of just you're a person for them to talk to in a time where they literally have nothing.
What, like
And-
almost like a helpline service, but for like people who
Exactly.
need conversation.
Exactly, but literally you'll be given someone's details, I think. Like a specific person that you sort of buddied with, I think.
Yeah.
Mm.
And they wanted 250,000 people to sign up, and something like 1 million signed up. So
Well, almost like
It's-
a phone call pen pal.
yeah, exactly. So it's good to know that support is there for those older people.
Yeah,
Mm.
wasn't it for the like deliveries as well? So like they wanted volunteers to help
Deliver
the
medication.
NHS to like deliver medication from like the warehouses to
Yeah, my dad's doing that.
hospitals,
He
deliver
volunteers for
food
that.
to people. Like they wanted like I think they wanted 250, like you said, 250,000, and they got like 600,000 after 2 days. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that during times of need, especially now in today's day and age, where people just seem a lot less friendly. No one really says hi if you're out for a walk and everything. It's nice to see that when needed, the majority of the UK population can band together, help each other out, and be there for each other and be friendly, even if you don't know the people.
Yeah. Slowly our humanity ticker is pulling back to good after Jack's water-based shenanigans.
Well,
Sweaty
whilst-
kayak.
What I was gonna say is, it's like Nathan, you guys are saying like, oh, they want 250,000, like 1 million people volunteered. Have any of us volunteered for any of those services?
Being honest, no, I
No,
haven't.
I
I
can't
haven't.
drive.
You can still talk to someone.
Yeah, on the phone.
I haven't signed
Oh,
up for anything. Kind of a bit of a selfish reason for it is I'm still currently working. And
I mean, if you're working a full-time job, then I feel like that's a reason, because you already got like
yeah,
time.
I
for
mean,
that.
I know I still can be doing things. I still can be talking to people, and I still can be helping out when I'm not at work. But I just feel due to anyone who's considered vulnerable by the NHS, they're not currently at my workplace. They've all been sent home on full pay to
That's
sort of,
me.
until a lot of this passes. So a lot of us are having to work harder so we can still sort of get the usual numbers out.
I
I'm
feel
a
like,
vulnerable boy.
yeah, I suppose, Dave, you can't go anywhere.
I'm a vulnerable boy.
Like, I feel like I should have like volunteered for like something like that, because like if I've already had it, then I'm pretty sure you're meant to be immune, or like a very high chance of being immune to getting it again. So then I'd be like a good candidate to go around and make these deliveries, because I'm not going to be infecting myself. But,
Yeah, it's sort of the same with any, like, the common cold, for instance, is each common cold you get is a different strain of it, but every time you get it, your body builds up antibodies to fight it. So if you do catch it again, which you can, your body's already fighting it before you get any symptoms for it. So you essentially don't realize that you've had it again.
I've seen a few times on the news where it's been like somebody had corona, recovered, and got it again, and I'm like, that poor bastard.
Yeah,
I know, right?
it's because it's a virus and not a bacteria. It's
Yeah.
a lot more difficult for the body to fight off.
I've also got a friend. Don't know if you remember Toby, Jack. I don't know. I mean, again, don't know. I'm asking.
Tall guy
But,
for your birthday, named Alan.
Yeah, no, it wasn't my birthday. No. Got a friend Toby. He has immune. It's not an immune deficiency. But he has basically a really bad issue with his immune system. basically, I think there's three parts to your immune system. One of them is to do with the memory. So like your body will remember it and it can fight it off easier. His immune system has next to none. So say for example, if I had
He's
like
got
the
like
common,
an autoimmune disease or something.
I mean that's literally what I said he didn't have, but
I might have zoned out for that 2 seconds.
Dude, you and his
I think-
fucking immune system have something in common. You got no memory.
And basically, like if for example, like a common cold, he can keep getting the same common cold. If he say for example he gives it to me, say he gets it, he gives it to me, he recovers, I can give it back to him. So if he basically surrounds himself with like sickness, he can like basically stay forever sick.
Oh god.
So yeah, it's really bad.
Jeez. That's wow. I can't even imagine that
If I was that guy, I'd be living in a plastic room right now.
compared to
Well, I mean, I've got
just
some
just your
furniture on
office.
the walls.
You have furniture on the walls.
Yeah, I've got like a
Got
sofa
a sofa.
just glued onto the walls.
how artistic, how modern,
Well, I mean, it's a bit crooked and it's a bit ancient, but it's there
and it's a
anyway.
poster.
I use it as a shelf.
Is it just a
Takes up half the room.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of leaning my head on it at a 90-degree angle right now. It juts right in the way.
I have a bit of a a deep tangent I want to ask you guys
Okay.
because I wanted to get some philosophical questions for you, and obviously I feel like we've been talking a lot about sort of modern life, and it's interesting how much COVID has had an effect on it. But on a complete sort of tangent, I want to know your opinions on the afterlife and whether or not it exists. Just because I'm a firm believer that it doesn't, but I just want to know if everyone's feeling the same.
Mm.
I personally, in a sense, I feel like I'm agnostic towards afterlife and sort of religion, kind of where that comes from, because there's no a hard proof for it, but there's no hard proof against it. There's only sort of going off what people have said and experienced. I've not experienced anything myself to do with any of that, but I don't want to say no outright. It doesn't exist. So yeah, I think there could be something out there, but at the same time, no one really knows for sure if there is anything, and we have no way of knowing.
Yeah.
Unless people can die and come back to life after a year or a few months of being dead.
I mean, I agree with Bobby on the note, like, it's a little thing called faith, and I don't really have enough of it to be like, yeah, people have told me that's the case, so I want to choose to believe it. Like Bobby, I'm sort of like, I like to believe in the things that I've seen or witnessed. Like, I'm not going to believe in ghosts until I see one in front of my eyes, no matter how much somebody has told me about it.
You believe in aliens, though.
Yeah, true, but that's like, there's a possibility for that. Like, human life has existed, but we don't know that a god
There's a
has
possibility
existed.
for the afterlife.
There is a possibility for it,
let
and
me
I
ask
don't
you this.
fully not believe in it. I just don't have enough faith to say for certain that if I die right now, I'd be comfortable in the fact that some part of me would keep on living afterwards, which is terrifying
Fair.
if it wasn't.
Because you could just argue it's a different plane of existence. For example, was there anything before the Big Bang? Well, theoretically, no, but yet there must have been for the Big Bang to occur.
Yeah.
So what if it's just
Things were floating out there? How did they get there?
what's going on here? How did they get there? You talking
My
about-
2 cents is that what happened before you were born, the world's been alive for like
Yeah. Yeah.
millions and millions of years.
Like 2020
And-
years.
Like the way it was before we were born, nothingness, that's what it's going to be like after.
Wow.
That's just how it is.
That
What
sucks.
about reincarnation, lads?
No, it doesn't exist.
I
All of these are things.
I mean-
I think a lot of religion is all just things people try and convince themselves to make themselves less scared of dying. That's all it is. People don't want to believe that there's nothing afterwards because it's a scary thought. But so they make these things up to like make themselves feel better. Like they say, oh yeah, we do keep on living. Like you come back and you like you're not gone. Like, but you know, the sad reality, in my opinion, is that once you're dead, you're gone.
So you think
But-
people do that just because they're scared of the afterwards, instead of just like, but actually believing that?
Yeah, they're
That's
only
not-
doing it because they don't want to accept the other thing. You know.
Also, one thing I hate. I'm not again. Sorry, not hate. I think hate is a strong word. But when people, like when people are like, you know, you have to limit yourself in this life to be rewarded in the next. You know, AKA, you know, if you sin in this life, you will go to hell or you won't get into heaven. And I think that is one of the sad. Like, it's so sad because, okay, if you have faith and you believe in that, you know, fantastic for you. But imagine like going through like 70 years, 80 years of not doing the things you wanted to do, or doing like limiting yourself, just to realize. I mean, the thing is, you won't even realize it when you die. You're just dead. You know, there's no soul. There's no. This is only what I think. Again, I'm not. You know, I don't put anybody down. I come from three very religious families when I grew up. I'm an atheist, and my mom is very religious, and it's very hard having a conversation with her. But whereas like I don't, you know, I don't go, oh, you know, you're an idiot. Like when she's like talking about Jesus and she'll say, you know, I'm in you're in my prayers to me when we call, and I'm not being like, oh, you idiot, don't, you know, prayers don't exist. You know, I just say thank you because to me
It's still a nice gesture, isn't it?
it's a nice gesture because that's what they believe in all their person and all their body and all their soul. They believe that that's helping and that's working, you know. And I'm not gonna be the one to be like, no, that doesn't work, you know, because to me, the way that personifies them as they are putting all their faith and all their, you know, all of their thoughts in me, and I'm not gonna put them down because of that.
Yeah.
But reincarnation, technically, reincarnation is a thing, right? Because your atoms will eventually go into something else being made.
Yeah, I was going to throw that in
You
after you
nurture
finished
a tree.
talking, but you went on there anyway.
Yeah.
So technically, my ancestors
There is-
are some oil.
Basically. Yeah.
Yeah, there is only there is a limited number of atoms. No more are created. No more are lost. When a living soul or living person passes away, their atoms go into the ground and then sort of are released back into the system that is life.
Yeah.
And those can go back into being formed a baby, which technically is a form of reincarnation. Parts of you have gone and are forming a new life. It's sort of the same with plants. When a plant dies, it fertilizes the ground around it, allowing other plants in the area to grow bigger and better than they previously could have done.
I don't
So
know.
Nathan, you're an idiot.
No, I was gonna say, like, to respond to that, like, I don't know if this makes me sound pessimistic, but the first thing I thought, like, if you rub your fingers together,
Yep.
like,
Doing it.
dead skin particles are coming off your fingers. You might even
Hey,
be able to
that's
see,
my grandfather you're rubbing off.
right? Dead skin particles coming off your fingers onto the floor, right? There's atoms right there, like, but
water
you
in
think those
Jackson's.
atoms, like, on the floor right now, those dead skin particles are gonna like go off and, you know, a new me is gonna be born?
Not really a new you, but like it can technically be anything. Those atoms, you know, 100 years from now, when your house, I don't know, degrades or whatever, they could escape through the window. Anything. Like atoms are so small and like, you know, you never know.
And here's the thing, Nate. Those dead skin cells will in turn feed some little mites that are on your table. So, but I mean, I don't think it's reincarnation related, but it does influence life around you. Like, aren't there a bunch of mites living in your eyebrows right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently, like, there's microscopic like stuff on your all over your face.
Yeah. You watched that on QI, didn't you?
No, I just,
No.
I mean, I've heard it somewhere.
It wasn't that detailed of a. Apparently, there's some things on your face.
I swear I heard Stephen Fry that things were on my face.
That's where I heard it. I mean, no, I definitely researched that on my own.
Oh no, that's my nose. Sorry.
I guess that's like our simplified scientific way of thinking about reincarnation, but the actual way that like religious think about it, like you die, you might be put into the body of somebody else, like who has existed, or your consciousness in the body of somebody
it's not your
else.
consciousness.
Or like I don't know,
you don't
your
remember it.
spirit is put
Yeah,
into like I don't know, you might turn out being a small African child from the 1400s. You know what I mean? Like that's the new life that you're going to live, or a cat in Jamaica. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That seems a lot more far-fetched to me than, because I would love to be religious. I'd love to be like a Christian that believes in God, because I feel like it'd be really comforting. But I feel like that extra step, like while I don't know, I find it harder to believe that that could even be a possibility because it seems even more far-fetched.
Do you? So going to your thing about sort of reincarnation becoming someone in the past, have you heard of the theory that, I don't even know if it's a theory or just a story, that every single person in this life is you being reborn into that person?
That was a
Oh,
Kurt's
yeah.
video.
I saw
have
that
heard
video.
this.
I mean, that
I
was kind of a
complete
cool premise,
rubbish.
but
Uh,
that itself is just mental. Because then I'm just having
Yeah.
a conversation with 4 other me's, which sounds great right now.
Jack's
They're
Hitler.
just, they're just 5 people in a call talking about sweaty kayaks.
That would be the most perfect. I'll just be saying to myself, I heard that was spread through water, and like 4 of me's be like, oh my god, I heard that as well.
But am I you or are you me?
No, I'm
No, you're me.
I am all of you.
No,
Who's
you're
the real
me.
you?
No, I'm the real me.
Well, me, Nathan. Actually, I find I'm
Oh
the real
god,
me.
does that mean I'm Bobby?
Wait, Jack, that means you're Catherine.
Oh,
Oh, Jack.
How did you get? How did I get so unlucky and have Jack inside me?
That's
Oh,
man.
oh. He's been rubbing his
Something-
fingers over you.
some things happen for a reason, Bobby.
He's not been rubbing my granddad again, has he?
Oh,
Oh no. Oh my word.
Anyway, moving on.
Really gotta force that, don't you? I want to finish with a final question.
with a bang.
I want to. Oh, it's a big bang. Oh, well, that's not.
Throwback
believe
to
in
when
time
Nathan
travel,
said
lads?
that earlier. Yeah, go.
Do you actually believe in time travel? Like,
Yes.
honestly?
I think it could work. It could be a thing.
See, it could work, but obviously it hasn't if nobody's come back yet, right? Like,
What
we
if?
don't know.
What do you mean? Obviously, the person who could time travel is going to be like, guys, I just time traveled, and then obviously the American government are going to be like, bam, shot in the head. You know,
Yeah.
What if
because-
there's
That's what American.
20 million realities going on?
True,
World,
I
where
mean,
every
like-
time you make a different choice, it sort of
parallel
split.
universes.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, but if I just find that, like, again, that's like infinite option, right? Like infinite things that could be happening, and I just think time travel in this universe and this world and this whatever, it's just I don't. I mean, I want to believe in it because obviously I love fiction and I love everything like about the idea of it, but I can't believe in it until somebody comes back to like be like, I just time traveled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like with that though, is you have the trope in a lot of sci-fi films where people do go back in time, and then you have the butterfly effect happening,
Nathan,
where
butterfly effect.
Oh my god.
they will change something. They will do one thing in the past which will alter the entire future to them possibly not existing, and then
Yeah.
that reality is stuck that way. And it could be a very real thing that time travel does exist. They just have to be so careful that they cannot interact, and they are coming back just to observe, so they have an accurate representation of what happened historically, as
Mm.
opposed to try and come back to better the future. Because what they could do now in bringing a cure for corona before it started could then impact the future in 100, 200 years, that leads to, I don't know, the world ending. Very drastic, but
No, I get it. So you're saying that they'd only use it for moments that don't influence anything.
they'd use it to. So we know very
It's like
little
tourism.
about. Yeah, we know very little about what happened sort of around the year 0. We have things written up, but no one obviously has any proof of it. So they could use time travel to go and see what happened there and to prove that what's written happened or that it didn't happen. And that would all they could use it for, to not affect anything.
You could prove religion is right or wrong in that case, and
Yeah.
surely someone would have done that by now. If time
Yeah,
travel-
it may not exist now. I think we very much lack the technology, but again, in
No, but-
100 years,
so if time travel ever exists, then it would have existed throughout all time, right? Like as soon as it exists, it's existed always. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No,
I know.
it
I mean,
makes
that's
no
kind of
sense.
what I said because like obviously the person would have come back.
Yeah, like
you see
right
you'd
now.
see it already.
Yeah, right. Like if time travel ever existed, then we would know by now because someone 100,000 years from now would have already come back to now. You know.
Yeah.
But
yes, but also it depends who invented it or
True.
who created it. That I mean, theoretically speaking, I don't personally believe in it, but theoretically, if in the right hands, you wouldn't notice if things were being done. Like we say things would have changed. We don't know if things would have changed because we don't know different trajectories. We don't know what happened when, I don't know, someone came back in time and made Nathan sleep in on Saturday. We don't
True.
know because we don't know the other reality. So we can't comment. So if it was done discreetly, you know, looking back, maybe there are events that have happened and have been shaped by some external influence.
Yeah.
I don't believe in it personally, but
Yeah, neither do I. But again, it's smart to think of it that way. And also, it's kind of scary to think about if it was in the wrong hands that like somebody, you know, a dictator could go back and change something, you know, a decision, an army movement or whatever, and then just kind of like, you know, control the world basically, you know.
yeah.
They could
If time travel exists, future me is going to come back into my room in 2 seconds.
Oh, that's just
Two,
that's the typical
one.
sentence right there.
Is he there?
Oh,
Guys, I gotta go.
he just killed the Joey now, and he has become the Joey.
Oh my word. 2 Joeys.
Could you imagine 2 Joeys? That'd be insane, dude.
Future Joey just wanted to come back and
I
relive
wouldn't
the
need
point
you guys.
where the podcast becomes successful.
You could just do what Jack wants to do. Just do a podcast of 5 Joeys, and you just always agree on everything. It'd be great.
Because what do you think about this? I like it. Me too. Me too. Me
Next
too.
question.
One of them goes, I don't. Just turns staring at him.
He's an imposter. It's Jack wearing a mask.
Jack, have you heard that humans are 70% liquid based?
That's terrifying.
Jack is 70% Corona.
Why
Which
liquid?
part? Top to bottom or bottom to top? Like on my
It's like-
legs,
it's like-
liquid,
No, it's like horizontal.
There's just
horizontal.
my feet.
So the left side of my body is just water.
I'm
it's all
thinking just
solid.
my shins downward is just completely dried and pruned.
Yeah.
Not pruned, sorry, it's just raised up.
They're the most prudent shins I've ever seen in my life.
I think you're gonna say they were liquid, just the most like damaged ankles ever. Just like they're
I mean,
nothing.
we saw them on a Snapchat when we used to work for Tesco, dude. Those are some liquid ankles right there. Some 70% liquid ankles.
Some could call them muscular.
Muscular.
No one would call them that.
Kind of stinky, really.
Well, lads, we've been talking for a while.
We have.
I think we might have to. I think we might have to give it a break, give our brains a little rest. I know this has been tough on Nathan.
Let me ask one final question.
Oh,
Just to
okay.
end
Oh,
it.
oh my
That's what Joey's
word!
already said.
Just to end
One
it.
final question.
Just to
This is
end
when he's like, "Do you guys believe in time travel?"
it. You know, just to give us a good note to go out on. If you were to have sex with a mermaid, would you like the top half or the bottom half to be human?
And this is
Yes.
a good note because. And
Top
how does it
half.
even work if
Good
the
note.
bottom half was a fish?
You seem to have thought this out in your head. What do you want to be fucking? A fish or a human, bud?
What do you
Can
mean?
I have the middle be a human and the top and bottom be fish? Just have the
So
belly.
you want nipples to shins to be fish, and then
No.
you've got human feet.
I want the head to the chest to be fish. I want the belly to be human, and I want the lower half to the legs.
You're
to
pick
be...
and choosing like it's some sort of fish human zebra.
Yeah. No, what? No, I top half, dude. Top half. All day.
Then
For
what's-
what?
Top
Fish or
half human.
bud?
Yeah, top half human.
Okay. It's just you were saying top half.
Oh yeah, I just realised that. I was like, yeah, top half. Where's top half?
I would have to go. Wait, hold on. What part are we cutting off at? What counts as a half?
Like,
What do you
belly
mean, like
button.
the waist?
Like, the waist, yeah.
You know, like a normal mermaid.
And yeah, like those
You
normal
know
mermaids you see.
mermaids, Joey.
Can I go
come on.
like 50-50 down the middle? Like the left side is human, right side is
Oh
fish.
my
Oh,
I don't even know what that
kill
is.
me, Bobby!
That sounds like the worst option.
Kill me, oh, bullet, please!
Oh,
Wait, does half of her have to be in the water at all times?
Yeah, she's lying sideways.
She's like half drowning. She's like.
They thought you pick.
Yeah, I mean top half human.
Yeah, of course.
What's happening at the bottom?
Hold on,
half?
guys,
It's half
guys,
fish.
guys. I need clarification, and it's gonna be pretty abrupt. Are we talking human vagina or fish vagina? I really
That's
need.
what I've been asking subtly the entire time.
What do you mean?
Well,
Like,
if you
yeah,
choose
top
don't
half
have
If
human.
I choose top half,
If
Am
you
I
choose
fucking a
bottom
fish
half
vagina?
human, if you choose top half human, then yeah.
Then you're
Fish
fine.
vagina.
But
what do you mean
if
then?
the
Yeah,
bottom
then yeah.
half-
What? I've asked you.
Then yes,
then-
there's a
okay,
fish vagina.
Yeah.
But what do you mean there's a fish vagina? I'm pretty sure that's not how it
So
works.
you want to
Yeah,
fuck
no,
a
What
fish,
do you
Nathan?
mean?
It would just be like a hole where the eggs come out of.
Yeah.
I don't know how
So-
fish work.
You just have sex with the top half.
Josh, that seems pretty selfish.
What do you mean? It's my mermaid, Jack. I'll do what I want with it.
Now it sounds
You do what you want with your fish vagina, alright?
So just in order, I just want to know who the freaks are. Which part of the body is human for you guys?
Top half.
Top half.
Top half.
And I think
No,
I
sorry,
would just,
bottom half. Bottom half.
I think I would
I
just
mis- I
leave them
misspoke.
alone and let them be.
I
I don't think I'd go near
The
it.
bottom half has to be human.
Oh my god. But Bobby wants the bottom half
Bobby,
human.
what you do with
Yeah,
the top
because he
half?
actually wants to.
No, listen.
I don't want to fuck a fish.
You don't have to fuck the fish. You can just fuck the head.
Now this is. I know this is really
Such-
mental, guys.
It's a horrible way
But-
of phrasing it.
If the top half is fish, which way is it facing?
Straight at.
Because I always picture it side on.
Yeah, but it'd be straight at you, just looking at you, and the face would like protrude quite a lot.
Like you'd have to have the top half in water as well. So like anytime you wanted to do anything, you know, it has to have like a whole like half body aquarium
It
on
just
it at
has
all
the,
times.
the SpongeBob water bowl when he goes in Sandy's dome.
What if it was into choking?
That's not real, Bobby. That's not. This is scientific.
It's a fucking
This is
mermaid.
scientific. We're being very scientific here, Bobby.
I gotta admit, I'm a bit concerned because I googled sexy fish, hoping for some inspiration, and there's nothing, guys.
It's
Nothing.
I was thinking top half fish could, be a nice thing, but guys, we are running low. We are really.
Okay, hold on. I've got an image sheet for you to show. Oh, I've got an image for you to show. Hold on.
Bring
This
us up,
is-
bring us up on
Wait.
screen, Jack.
This is what.
How
This
is
is
someone on
what-
Spotify going to be seeing this?
This is just extra work for Jack. Describe it.
For the-
Very, very
Yeah,
in
for,
depth.
for the viewers at home, I'd really
Okay.
appreciate if you could actually send the picture, Josh, rather than
Yeah.
going, this is what, and then sending nothing.
This is what it looks
Man,
like.
man was saying this is what, and he hadn't even googled it.
I did. I was just like, I accidentally went to save as instead of copy. It was
What is
awkward.
going?
Where is it?
That
Oh, it's
is-
over there.
It's in.
That is the. That is the.
Okay,
That's what Bobby wants. That's what Bobby
it.
wants.
That's it. There it is.
Could be fun.
That's
Wait,
just
you keep
human
it off?
legs on a. That looks
That's
like.
what he. That's what he
I'd
said.
rather fuck a human vagina than a fish, guys. I cannot.
I'm
But
sorry.
when you-
cannot
but when
say-
you're
How do
doing
none
it-
of you understand what Joey and I are thinking?
I can understand what you're saying, but also I just wouldn't touch the bottom half of the mermaid.
Yeah.
I would just go over the top half.
Put a towel over it.
You just said you can't change the rules.
I didn't change the rules.
You can't say.
The only preference was top half or bottom half, and I'm not.
Would you have sex? We haven't turned it into. Would you have oral sex?
I said sex is the same thing, and it wasn't. Also, it wasn't sex. It was just, would you rather have? Wait, Nathan, what was the question again?
It was sex.
Oh, all right. Well, hold on. If it was just normal, but that kind of sex,
Yeah,
then
I'd
yes,
have
I'd
to change
bottom
my
half.
answer if it was just.
But now you made it bad.
What do you
Obviously,
mean?
now
You
you
guys
made
are
it bad. Now you
Give me
made
that
it bad
fish vagina.
because everyone's gonna choose human. No one's
think
gonna choose.
Just
right around.
dunk the
I-
top half underwater. They're having a great time. Sorted.
What noise would it make? When
Also,
it came?
sorry. The top half human, you could actually like talk to. You know,
Exactly.
Yeah, but
they'd be like,
then you're doing some
You
weird
know,
stuff
that'd
with
be
a-
the
wait,
fishy
wait,
underhide.
Wait, what if the top half fish also spoke human? Like,
no, I'm assuming they're just like the fish is like.
I don't know, but what if they were like, what if they couldn't speak?
I picture quite a gravelly voice.
Nathan. Oh,
All right, lad.
Tell you what, I've got an egg sack. I've got an egg sack. You've got a. What is that? What is that? You'd kill it if it was a fish bottom half. You'd kill it.
It's alright, just flush it down the toilet.
What fish is it?
I was
Oh.
gonna say, what do we get to choose the species of fish?
Shark.
How
What's the
many?
most attractive fish?
On the sides.
Place. I want a place because it's flat.
What are you gonna do? Fucking surf with it after?
Yeah. Get some hobbies done.
You know, I don't think this was a good note to end on. I've been traumatized by your
I
answers.
thought it was pretty good.
On
Just
one
to clarify,
final question.
If we had an option, I would choose oral sex with a human.
He doesn't want his reputation tarnished.
I know.
Put it on the record.
I have to put it on the record.
I want
I
that on
don't
a
wanna-
fucking t-shirt. Just to clarify, I would have oral sex with a human. Oh my god. Jack, it sounded like you had a final question, but okay.
No,
No,
I
I
was
think he's
just
memeing.
memeing it.
I think he's memeing.
Alright, well, sure say goodbye at the same time.
All right.
2, 1.
3, 2, 1.